At the end of the Marvel Adventure Series movie Infinity War, there was a feeling of disappointment and sadness. The movie didn't end on a high note or a cliffhanger, but on a very uneasy ending. We had to wait an entire year for Endgame to come out so that good would defeat evil and that justice would prevail. In today's chapter, over 10 years have passed, but now God's Word comes to pass. Welcome to the Word for 2022. Today we're in 2 Kings chapter 9. Back in 1 Kings chapter 21, Elijah pronounced God's judgment upon Ahab and Jezebel. More than a decade later, judgment is now executed. Back in 1 Kings chapter 21, Jezebel had Naboth killed because her husband Ahab wanted his land for a vineyard. Jezebel also had killed many of God's prophets. And Ahab and Jezebel, they had led God's people to sin. The pronounced judgment was that the house of Ahab would be destroyed. Ahab's son would be killed on Naboth's ground. Jezebel would even be eaten by dogs. Now, God is bringing all that about. Jehu is now appointed as king, and he is commissioned to execute judgment. The long wait is over, and wrong is now going to be made right. Chapter 9 is a confirmation that God keeps His word. Justice was more than 10 years in coming, but it came. Do you ever feel that God has forgotten about an injustice? Or do you ever think that maybe God doesn't care? Or have you ever thought, will God ever make things right? This chapter again reminds us that God does not forget, that God does care, that God will make all things right, that God will bring about judgment, and God does keep His word. God sees, God understands, God knows, and God hears. Therefore, the wait may seem long, but God will always have the last word, and justice will prevail. Thank you for joining the Word for 2022.